One of the biggest challenges when transitioning children at the end of each year, whether it's from preschool to school, from year 1 to year 2, year 3 to year 4, primary to secondary, secondary to post-school options, is there's often so much paperwork. And in busy and complex classrooms where teachers often have a range of diverse learners, we have to be realistic about A, how much information teachers have time to hand on, but also what information teachers need the next year. One of my biggest struggles is where teachers go, oh, I'll wait to get to know the kid. Well, I understand that, and I don't want you coming in with preconceived ideas too much, but there are some key strategies and information you need to know from day one. And in my experience, we need some key information to support the child. It's so important. We don't say, oh, wait for a child to have an asthma attack or a nut allergy. We put in place proactive strategies, and I'm all about proactive strategies. Now, when I worked as an autism outreach teacher, going into schools and supporting children transition, I devised this cheat sheet that I have used over many years, and every year I update it. So every year I change the information in these cheat sheets. Now, what I would recommend is if you use Google Docs or whatever you use, I'm sending it to you, or you can download it as a Word document, but convert it to something where everybody can add their own information. What I used to do is print it out, give it to everyone, the parents, teacher assistant, teacher, and then I'd collate that as one document, as one type document, to make it easy for teachers to quickly flick through. Can the child ask for help? Can they calm themselves down? Who have their friends been? These are such important little things I need to know from day one. Absolutely need to know from day one. So I highly recommend you have a look at those cheat sheets, and you can add your own information to them. But what I can't stand is where stuff is locked in a filing cabinet, or teachers are given for each child this massive folder of information. This is just the key information you need from day one. Then you can go and refer to the other documents later. Just like if a child has anaphylactic or nut allergies, we just have up a one-page cheat sheet. I've also got, because I believe in self-advocacy, where the kids can tell the teacher about them. What are the things you want the teacher to know about you? And this is, again, a sheet I revise and update, and I have found really helpful over the years. Now, some of you will be joining me this week for the free transition live webinar. I hope you're going to join me. If you haven't signed up, make sure you sign up. I look forward to seeing you online, and I will be sharing that as a replay, but there's nothing better than being there live, and there's going to be prizes, and it's always fun to see you all online. And I love seeing where everyone is from all over Australia, New Zealand. Last time we had someone from Fiji. So I can't wait to see you on it. Just a reminder, I can only have 1,000 people on there because I like to keep it in the meeting format so that we can have breakout groups and it's far more engaging. So get on early, even if you'd log on and then leave and come back. As a podcast listener, that's a top tip for you. Get on early. We'll be on from at least 45 minutes before. Get on and then go and do other things and then come back, and then you'll be on there. Can't wait to see you all in the live webinar, and enjoy this. This is how to use the tip sheets that you are going to download, and just give you some insights and understanding on the importance of those cheat sheets. Join me for upcoming live virtual workshops in November and a great professional development day in January. The feedback on these has been amazing, and another great way to prepare for the upcoming school year. Hi everyone, welcome to the Sue Larkey podcast. As I always say, you have to embrace difference to make a difference. Let's dive into today's podcast. Hey, Sue Larkey here. Really excited to share with you today my transition cheat sheets, which I created after working with hundreds of kids in mainstream schools. But these can apply to any setting. For me, I love at this time of the year thinking the more information we share, the more we can prepare. Not just the child, but the adults too. But sometimes what I found is people just shared too much information, and teachers often have up to 30 kids in a class, and there's just too much information. So what I did is I created like a cheat sheet that you can just go through and type in just bits of information. Some of it won't be relevant, fine, just put not applicable, but just a couple of lines, just so people are aware and something to refer back to early on. So teachers, teacher assistants, parents, I highly recommend you download these transition cheat sheets. Just hit download. They will download as a document, and then you can go in and type into them information. What I love is if like teacher starts it, teacher assistant adds, vice versa, then parents, because again, the more we share, the better, but we don't want too much information. So we don't want 3 different documents. Let's just make it one concise document. And the other thing I want to share with you, which I've got so many kids who love, and it's a really good task to do anyway, is 10 Things About Me, which is a document for the student to introduce themselves. For me, self-advocacy for kids on the spectrum is really important. I've got kids who'll go up to a teacher and go, "Hi, I'm Nathan. I have Asperger's." I love that. That's no different to, "Hi, I'm Nathan. I have nut allergies." Or, "Hi, I'm Nathan and I have asthma." For me, sharing that can be so important because people can't see asthma or nut allergies or ASD, or even if you have a child just have anxiety. Often early on in the year, people don't notice this child until it's too late. So for me, these transition cheat sheets just make a huge difference to everybody. And as you've heard me say so many times, I've never met 2 kids the same. To know someone with autism is not to know autism. So you could hear, "Oh, you're getting Nathan with autism in your class." And you could Google autism, read everything on autism there is on the website, on the internet, which could be like 10,000 different documents. But none of them will explain how Nathan looks, how Nathan engages and learns. So for me, this is far more important than what is autism. This is what to do and what works for Nathan, and him actually sharing some information about himself. So I highly recommend that you download the transition cheat sheets and the 10 Things About Me. But I'm going to talk you through some of it because I think it's really helpful to help you understand my thinking. So in the cheat sheets, it's in 5 different areas: academic, behaviour, communication, social, and general. And this year I'm hoping to add in some sensory to that as well. So more and more of my kids have sensory processing, so that's some information that can be really helpful. So in the academic, for example, first up it says, does the child have adequate fine motor skills? What about pencil grips? So wouldn't it be good to know, my first day with this kid, that she uses a pink pencil grip, because some of my children have specific preference for their pencil grip. So you just know that straight up, because many of my kids don't know how to ask for help or to tell you. How do they need the curriculum modified? What are their learning strengths? Because as a teacher, I want to set them up to be engaged in my classroom, so I want to know what their strengths are straight away and build on that and build on their learning in my environment. But also any weaknesses, anything they struggle with, I want to know that. Can they pick up verbal cues, 2 or 3 step instructions? Because some of my kids are just at 1 step. How do they work independently? Does the child need assistance? Does the student complete work in the allocated time? All of those things are so important. And for me, I know we could write pages and pages on academic, but what it boils down to, this gives me a quick snapshot. It just gives me a quick picture on their academics. Communication, and as I said a moment ago, can they ask for help? I have so many students who don't know how to ask for help. And this is where social scripts can be really helpful. Jump on my blog and have a look. I've got a really good 1-pager on how to write a social script, and it actually is about how to ask for help. And I encourage you to teach kids how to ask for help, when to ask for help. Do they know how to put their hand up to ask for help? Can they seek peers for help? And this is a really important one, particularly in our new curriculum. Can they make a choice? So, for example, often we give them a box of readers to choose from, and parents will report they bring home the same reader every night. So can they make a choice? Because for many of my kids, if you give them too many choices, they will get overwhelmed. You might be best to give them a choice of 2 readers or 2 activities. Or I have kids, if you give them a choice, they'll choose one thing and then change to something else. and then get really anxious about their choice. So this is important. How do they communicate? Can they ask a question? Can they answer questions? Because I've got some kids who use echolalia and will just echo back what I ask. So that's really important to know. Can they engage in conversations? Because some of my kids don't have a conversation. They just have a monologue, which is fine. That's their way of having a go and trying to communicate with me. Can they communicate their needs and desires? And by that, I mean, can they tell me they need to go to the toilet or need a drink or hungry? Because if not, they'll use behaviour to let me know. So this is really important. And then some general information. So that's all around communication, behaviour. You know, even if you're driving in the car now, I'd love you to start thinking about these things. Can they stay on task? Here's a really important one that I added in after probably a couple of years of supporting kids. Can they use free time independently? Because other neurotypical kids love free time, but many of my ASD kids find free time really anxious, or they want the iPad or computer, but that isn't a choice in free time. So can they use free time independently? Or I had a boy many years ago, gorgeous young boy, whose special interest was Glee, which is that TV show. And the school secretary loved Glee. So if he ever had spare time, he wouldn't ask for permission. He'd just wander off over to the office to talk about Glee with the school secretary. He didn't understand that free time meant to do something in the classroom. So we had to write him a social script about that. And then he had to make an appointment to go to the office because he ended up being there every 5 minutes wanting to talk about Glee. So we actually used that as a reward system and it worked brilliantly. But it is important to know, can they use free time? Sometimes when I was at school, they used to write on the board, when you finish, you can do this, 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 and this. Some of my kids still need that. Free time, here are your choices. How does the student tolerate the noise in the classroom? How do they react to change and new experiences, or if there's a change in teacher or change in timetable? And here's an important one. How do they express frustration? Remember, some kids have meltdowns, some have shutdowns, some have tantrums, some hold it together all day, that veneer of coping, and then have the meltdown when they get home. You know, I've had parents ring the school and go, you know, he's really upset. He's been crying for an hour. What went on at school today? And the teacher's like, nothing. I didn't see anything. This is what we call a veneer of coping, where they hold it together and then lose it or have the meltdown later, or a delayed meltdown. Very important that we understand that. And often, although the school haven't seen anything, the triggers have been throughout the school day. Now, this is a very important one. Can they calm themselves down, and how? Because I need that available from day one. In fact, in the last podcast when I talked about transition, I said that was an important part of your transition planning, ensuring they had a way to calm themselves down. Do you need to create a safe place for the student? Do they need somewhere for time out? And sometimes, is there a staff member that previously they've had a good relationship with? I want to know that. How do they cope in the playground? What strategies do I need in place there? What activities? And I hate to say it, but we do need to talk about this. Have they ever been aggressive? And why? And what do we need to know? Because I don't want that to happen again. None of us want this to reoccur. So what needs to be put in place from day one to make sure that doesn't happen? Or even not aggression. What about disruptive behaviours? You know, if a kid constantly calls out, what have you done about that? Or if they want to win all the time or be first all the time. All of these things are so important from day one. And the next part is social skills and how do they respond to other children? And for me, and many of you have heard me talk about this at my workshops, to me, the difference between autism and Asperger's, and I know some of you are going, that's not how you say it, and now it's autism spectrum disorder. Well, actually, I think we're going to go back to the terms autism and Asperger's. But for me, kids with Asperger's or high-functioning autism, I prefer the word Asperger's, desperately want friends. They want to be part of the social. Whereas when I teach children with autism, the classic Canna end of the spectrum, honestly, guys, they don't necessarily want to engage with children in the breaks. They want their own time and they need their own time. They need time to just think their own thoughts and be on their own. Whereas many of my kids with Asperger's are very lonely. in the breaks, who are seeking friendships and don't know how to have them, or choosing the wrong friends because those kids will take them in. So it's really important with social skills where it is a whole spectrum. And remember, every child is different. But for me, having taught over 3,000 kids on the spectrum, Asperger kids want engagement. They're watching the other kids. They're aware of the other kids. They're trying to get included in activities, even though they might go around it the wrong way or burn other kids out. But please be aware of that. Anyway, I won't go on about that too much in this podcast, but those of you who have attended my workshops have heard me talk about this lots of times before. And this is a good question with social skills. Can they work closely with others? Because some of them need a spare spot next to them. Or Dean Beadle, a young man with Asperger's who I've had out to Australia a number of times in New Zealand, he purposely didn't have shower and hygiene, so people didn't sit next to him. So some of you with teenagers, you might need to ask yourself, are they not showering because they want space? They want someone to leave a spare spot next to them. How do they share? What's their eye contact like? And you've heard, hopefully, if you've listened to my podcast on eye contact, we're not looking for a child to stare into our eyes, but do they look in the direction of someone talking? Do they look away when they're listening? That's good to know. Can they wait quietly for a turn? Can they initiate a conversation? Can the student react appropriately to emotions in themselves or others? This is really important as you go up through the years, because I'll often have teachers who get really cross with a kid and they'll go, he didn't look upset. He didn't look sorry. Well, he doesn't. He doesn't know how to express his facial expressions like that. I need to know that although he mightn't use appropriate facial expressions or he'll laugh when someone's crying, that is just because he doesn't understand. It doesn't mean he doesn't care. I get so upset when people say, oh, he doesn't care. No, he doesn't show he cares. He cares, she cares. They just don't show it. Appropriate play skills. How do they go outside in the playground? And again, I wouldn't write too much on all of these, just enough to get people understanding. And then just general stuff, what support they've had in the past, what do you recommend in the future, what motivates them, objects, activities, what are their special interests, or what do they like to do when left alone, what are their dislikes, are there any sensory likes or dislikes, and then just a general comment. But this one I'd love you to spend a bit of time on, and I think I've put 5 lines. This is all I would want on this. What are the key priorities for first term? What do you think is the key priority for term 1 next year? So I'm hoping that's given you some great ideas for your transition planning. And I'm hoping that now I've talked it through with you going, yeah, okay, I can go and do it. And I'd hope you can just sit down, get that done really fast and get other people to add to it. Now, for the 10 things about me, I love doing this with kids. And in fact, sometimes it's good to do with the whole class anyway. To introduce themselves to the teacher for next year, or if they're moving schools, it's fabulous. So put a photo of them doing something they love. So if they love Star Wars, Thomas, Fortnite, Minecraft, put a photo of them doing that. So it reminds the teacher this is something that this person that they love. So it's just, hi, my name is, and I'm in your class this year or next year, whenever you write it. I want you to know a little about me. I'm, and then how do you feel to be in the class? Okay, so get them to talk about this. So I use this as an opportunity. I like them to sit down with parent, teacher, aide, someone and talk about their feelings. Are they scared, anxious, worried, excited? How are they feeling? So there's a nice paragraph there. And then you can change it however you like. That's why I send it to your Word document. A great way to speed up this process is letting me know what to expect. Schedule for the day reduces my anxiety, written or picture. Letting me know any changes allows me to prepare. A 5-minute warning, but some kids might need a 10-minute warning. Talk this through with the kid. What do you like? A visual or a picture? Do you like a 5-minute warning? A 10-minute warning? What have teachers used in the past that have helped? What do your parents use at home or carers? Other things that may help are And ask them, what are things that make a difference? What make you feel calmer? So that might be where they go, oh, I really like a reading corner, or I really like to be able to read my book, or I really like some Lego on my desk for when I'm anxious. Happy with all of that. But self-advocacy is them sharing that. That's like a kid who's allergic to nuts going, teacher, here's my EpiPen. This is a kid going, hey, I have Asperger's, here's some information. So some of you might be going, oh, what age? I'd say from year 2 on, this works really well. And then 10 things to know about me I'm really, really good at. I absolutely love doing. I absolutely hate doing. Some of my kids enjoy that one, but I've only put a small space for that one. My best subjects and strong areas, my subjects that I need help with. When I'm frustrated, I often let the teacher know signs of your frustration. And again, this is a chance sometimes to reflect. Look how far you've come this year. Remember at the start of the year? And I've got parents who collect these every year, and the kids love looking back over the years. Oh, yeah, remember in prep when I used to get frustrated, I'd rip up my worksheets. Now, in year 1, I'd scribble all over it, and it's nice. We all change and develop, yeah? What can you do to help me keep calm before the storm hits? Too late. Storms hit. Sometimes what you can do to calm me down, and what strategies work really well to get me to do something I don't want to do. I find this fascinating. Some of my kids really can articulate this really well. But teacher aides, angels, you might fill this in as an advocate for the child if they don't have the skills to articulate this. Or parents, the same. Actually telling people this makes a huge difference. A few sensory issues you might like to know about me. One of my boys had, I don't like clicking pens. I don't like labels in my clothes. And I don't like sitting near children when they're eating. Isn't that good to know? I love that. It's absolutely fantastic. So guys, best of luck with filling in your transition cheat sheets and your kids getting them to fill in 10 things about me. Have a fun time doing it. I find it actually really lovely to reflect on the year and a really good opportunity to think how far we've come. And again, even if it's January, February, it doesn't matter. You can still start again. If you've had a tricky start in February, we can still go back and do some of this and gather this information from the people that already know these kids. Best of luck. I hope you've got some great tips and strategies to make a difference. Remember, strategies wear out and not every strategy works for everybody. If you're ready to dive in deeper to more strategies and ideas to make a difference, I'd highly recommend you consider Dr. Tony Atwood or my online courses. For more information, visit my website www.suelarkey.com.au.